Hey my friends, Making Money with Gary. Today is March 26, 2025. I'm out here picking longleaf pine needles. And why am I out here picking these longleaf pine needles in the woods here in South Carolina? I sell these longleaf pine needles. And what do I sell them for? I sell them for a gross of $41 for 18 ounces. That's 1 pound, 2 ounces. And what I make in my pocket after mailing them and paying the website, I make $27 per pound and 2 ounces. So, what did I pick today? Right here in my hand, try to get in the shade. Right here in my hand is around $13 worth. That's $13, 8 ounces. And I'm going to show you what's in the bag, guys. What's in the bag, right here in this bag, is roughly around 4 pounds. And that 4 pounds, because I sell in 18-ounce orders, that 4 pounds would be worth around between $80 and $90. Because that would be three 1 pound, 2 ounce orders, and then a little extra left over. So 3 times 27 that goes in my pocket will be 81. And a little extra, I'd put it at 90. That could go towards another order. And the gross amount for this would be around 3 times 41, it'd be 143, plus a little extra around 150. So the gross amount is around 150, and the net amount is around between 81 and 90. I do sell small orders. I sell half pound orders. I sell 10 ounce orders. I sell smaller orders. I sell larger orders. I sell 2 pound orders, 3 pound orders. And the more they buy, the less they pay. And these longleaf pine needles range in length from, I'd say from 11 inches up to 20. And generally what I pick is between anywhere from 12 to 15. And yes, I do pick some. There is some 20-inch ones in the bag that are curled. And I do this every other day. And I sell around 100 pounds a month, and it varies. And there are months I get hit really hard and I sell 150 pounds. And not only do I sell these longleaf pine needles, I also sell vintage books. But let me get back to longleaf pine needles. The longleaf pine needles, I sell these. People buy these to weave things. They weave baskets. They weave mats that hang on the wall. People make intricate designs. People could weave an image into a flat mat, and then they could hang it on the wall. And these flat mats that hang on walls that have images weaved into them sell for hundreds of dollars. And the same thing with the baskets. They sell for hundreds of dollars. And it's very intricate work. And you'd have to Google longleaf pine needle basket to see what I'm talking about. Or anything longleaf pine needle home decor, and see what comes up, and see what you'd be amazed what the stuff sells for. And a lot of wreaths that hang on doors for different holidays like Christmas, Halloween, Easter, just about any holiday you can hang a wreath on a door. And the wreaths sell for between $30 and $50. And with an 18-ounce order, you can make 10 to 15 wreaths that hang on the door. And if you sell them if you make 10 and sell them for $50 each, it's $500. So that's why people don't quabble about paying for these, and it takes time to pick them. And not only do I pick these longleaf pine needles, I have to take them home. I have to soak them in water with vinegar to get anything off of them that's on them. Then I have to put them outside on a drying rack, let them dry. Then I have to weigh them and bundle them into bundles. And then once the people get them, when they're going to weave with them, what they do is they soak them in hot water, and they let them soak for a little bit, and then they start weaving their projects. And then they'll take their projects and they'll either dip them in wax or they'll dip them in something to make them stay shiny and new for a long time. And then they sell their products. And I'm basically a Longleaf pine needle supplier. I supply these to the people that do the crafts. And I've been doing this for 5 years. And I first started doing this when I found these in my front yard and I had to rake them. They became a fire hazard. And then I found out the garbage man wouldn't take them and I had to burn them. And then I found out if I hand pick them, they don't get damaged. And I could sell them online and people buy them to make crafts. And when I first started doing it, I wasn't selling a lot. I was selling a pound a week, maybe 2 pounds a month. And now, 5 years fast forward, I'm doing over 100 pounds a month. And the vintage books, the way I started out selling vintage books online is I would go to thrift stores, I'd see these books. I found a book here and there that was signed by famous people. I paid 50 cents or $1 for the books each. I brought them home, I put them up online, I sold them, I made 100, 150. I was hooked, that was it. And every once in a while, we'll pick up a book that I'm only going to make $10 on or $20 on. And I do have close to a couple thousand items listed in my store. And 99% of them are books that I sell. And I do very well with the books. And I go to a lot of different thrift stores. And I really search through the books to make sure I'm getting something that I could sell. Because you can't just buy any book. You have to buy a book that's going to sell. And you have to look for first edition, first printing, second printings, a book that's signed, a book that's rare, a book that's in good condition that you could get money for, a book that's highly sought after. And if you find them kind of books, you could usually move them pretty quick and you can make money. If you buy just any book, you might not sell just any book. I mean, not to say bad things about sewing books, but I used to buy a lot of sewing books too. And then I found out these sewing books, they don't really sell. So I took all my sewing books and I redonated them to different stores. And now I don't have any sewing books on my site. I do have, I believe, 1 or 2 books that are, the only reason I have them is because they're over 50 years old and they're antiquish. But otherwise, I don't buy sewing books. And I don't buy books on educational stuff too much because they're hard to sell too. I mean, you think they wouldn't be, but they are. So the only books I do buy that are on educational stuff would be on car mechanics repairing a car, a book on repairing a specific car, a specific automobile. That book could sell fast. A book on welding that could sell quick. A book on engineering that could sell fast. I'll stick with books like that, but I won't buy books on a lot of different things that are educational because they won't sell unless they're very antiquish. Now, yes, I do buy some books that are on education that are very old. In fact, I had a book on English that was from the early 1900s, and I had plenty of books like that, and they'll sell because they're antiques. So if you're going to sell books or you want to try that, you could do it and you can make good money at it. It takes a little time to build up a clientele. Pick out a website you like that you could sell on. There's Abe's Books, there's Bonanza Books, there's a site I'm on, E as in Eddie, T as in Tom, S as in Sam, Y as in Yarn, Essie, and there's another site, eBay, and there's a ton of other sites that you could sell on. You don't have to sell on any specific site. Sell on a site you're comfortable with. Now, let me remind you, if you do sell on Essie, the book has to be 20 years old. It has to be a vintage book or the website will not allow you to sell it. Now, another good thing that sells, a lot of people don't really sell these, but they do sell Bibles. And you could get antique Bibles and collectible Bibles. And you could get different books on religion, and they sell fine, and people buy them, and they'll pay good money for them. And people look for some of the antique books. They like to have them, put them up in a display case. They look beautiful, you know. And not only them books, children's books. If you get children's books from the 1950s, 40s, 60s, and they're very they're very clean, people will buy them and put them in a display case. They're collectible. People collect this stuff. And these Longleaf pine needles, If you're going to pick these, if you live in a state where they grow in zone 7, 8, and 9. You could do this too. And the thing is with this, it takes a while to build up trust, a while to build up a clientele. And it takes a while to pick these. It takes a while to get used to picking these. So, and you can't rake them, you'll damage them, and the people can't use them. And you can't pick the green ones. I mean, you could have 1 in 100 in your bag, but you can't have too many. People won't, they can't use them. They shrink. They can use them after 6 weeks. But generally, people don't use green pine needles. So what you want to do is get brown pine needles, ones that freshly just fell from the tree that are turning brown. And people love them. They'll weave with them and make their products and sell their products. And the longer the longleaf pine needles you pick, the more the people like them. Because they can weave longer, they can weave better, their projects come out better with the longer pine needles. With the shorter pine needles, they can't weave as long. It's a little harder for them to make their products. But they can work with them, but they normally like the long ones. So I strive to get long leaf pine needles for my customers. And my customers really appreciate that. And I also have, because I have a large customer base and I have a lot of steady customers, I'll try to pick pine needles that are really long, and I'll try to give my steady customers extra pine needles when they order to keep them coming back. And they really appreciate that. And I package them well. I try to make sure they don't get damaged. And I enjoy doing this. I come out in the woods, I spend a couple hours. I'll get 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pounds, depending on how abundant they are where I'm at. And then I'll bring them home, and I'll wash them in the sink, agitate them, and then let them sit out in the sun, put a board on them so they don't blow away. And then I'll bundle them, and I'll go in my stockpile. And I try to keep a stockpile of 20 pounds or more, because I do sell these pretty frequent. I'll sell between 10 and 50 pounds a week. One week I might sell 10 pounds, the next week I might sell 50 pounds. So it jumps up and down. It's when the people want them, when they need them. And I do have customers that buy 10 and 12 pounds at a time. So it's something I've been doing for a while, and I do good with it. I have no complaints. I make good money with it. Certain times of the year, the pine needles are dry, and when they're dry, they're hard to pick, and it takes longer to pick them. Now, I would recommend, if you are picking these longleaf pine needles and you're out on a dry time of the year, wait for a good rain. After a good rain, come out the following day after a good rainstorm. Or even if it rains in the morning and it stops, come out after that a few hours later and pick. You'll find a lot fresher needles. You'll find a lot of good needles. Now let me remind you, you can't weigh these now because they're wet. So I wouldn't try to weigh them before you wash them. What I would do is I would just wash them and put them out to dry. Let them dry for 24 hours. Once they're thoroughly dry, weigh them and bundle them. Make 8-ounce bundles, 1-ounce bundles, 6-ounce bundles, whatever you want to make, however you want to sell them. But the best time to come out and pick these is after a rainstorm. I do very well. That's how I normally do it. Today's a dry day. They're a little harder to get. They're not as abundant because of the dryness. So I have to gingerly pick them. Where if I come out here after a rainstorm, I could pick it fast. But all right, guys, making money with Gary. There's a lot of ways to make money. I'm starting a gemstone thing. I've been starting it. I haven't gotten it going yet. I'm trying to get that going. That's my next big thing. So the gemstone thing is selling quartz, and it's a lot of different colors: red quartz, pink quartz, blue quartz, brown quartz, citrus quartz, And people make jewelry out of that, and people use that for fish tanks and a lot of different things. So that's my next big thing to start selling, and I have accumulated about 1,400 pounds of that, and I have it home, and that's my next thing. I just haven't got around to it yet because I've been busy with this other part of my business. So, all right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and over and out.